I have done 30 plus certifications and am here to guide you throughout your certification journey. In this video, we will be covering some of the most important questions of the Microsoft C100 exam. You can find the complete PDF of this video and our practice questions through the link down in the description. To the important questions, question 1. Your company has a Microsoft 365 E5 subscription. The Chief Compliance Officer plans to enhance privacy management in the working environment. You need to recommend a solution to enhance the privacy management. The solution must meet the following requirements: identify unused personal data and empower users to make smart data handling decisions. Provide users with notifications and guidance when a user sends personal data in Microsoft Teams. Provide users with recommendations to mitigate privacy risks. What should you include in the recommendation? Based on the given requirements, we should include privacy risk management in Microsoft Riva. Thus, the correct option is C. Privacy risk management in Microsoft Riva gives you the capability to set up policies that identify privacy risks in your Microsoft 365 environment and enable easy remediation. Privacy risk management policies are meant to be internal guides and can help you detect overexposed personal data so that users can secure it, spot and limit transfers of personal data across departments or regional borders, help users identify and reduce the amount of unused personal data that you store. Question 2. You have an Azure subscription that has Microsoft Defender for cloud enabled. Suspicious authentication activity alerts have been appearing in the workload protections dashboard. You need to recommend a solution to evaluate and remediate the alerts by using workflow automation. The solution must minimize development effort. What should you include in the recommendation? Here in this question, we want to evaluate and remediate the alerts by using a workflow automation while minimizing development effort. As such, we should include Azure Logic Apps. Thus, the correct option is D. The workflow automation feature of Microsoft Defender for Cloud feature can trigger logic apps on security alerts, recommendations, and changes to regulatory compliance. Note, Azure Logic Apps is a cloud-based platform for creating and running automated workloads that integrate your apps, data, services, and systems. With this platform, you can quickly develop highly scalable integration solutions for your enterprise and B2B scenarios. Question 3. You have a Microsoft 365 E5 subscription and an Azure subscription. You are designing a Microsoft deployment. You need to recommend a solution for the security operations team. The solution must include custom views and a dashboard for analyzing security events. What should you recommend using in the Microsoft Sentinel? Here in this question, we need to recommend a solution for the security operations team that must include custom views and a dashboard for analyzing security events. As such, we should recommend using workbooks in Microsoft Sentinel. Thus, the correct option is C. After you connected your data sources to Microsoft Sentinel, you get instant visualization and analysis of data so that you know what is happening across all your connected data sources. Microsoft Sentinel gives you workbooks that provide you with full power of tools already available in Azure, as well as tables and charts that are built in to provide you with analytics for your logs and queries. You can either use built-in workbooks or create a new workbook easily from scratch or based on an existing workbook. Question 4. Your company has a Microsoft 365 subscription and uses Microsoft Defender for identity. You are informed about incidents that relate to compromised identities. You need to recommend a solution to expose several accounts for attackers to exploit. When the attackers attempt to exploit the accounts, an alert must be triggered. Which Defender for Identity feature should you include in the recommendation? Here in this question, based on the given requirements, we should include any token entity tags in the recommendation. Thus, the correct option is D. Any token entities are used as traps for malicious actors. Any authentication associated with these honey token entities triggers an alert. Question 5. Your company is moving all on-premises workloads to Azure and Microsoft 365. You need to design a security orchestration, automation, and response strategy in Microsoft Sentinel that meets the following requirements: minimizes manual intervention by security operation analysts, supports triggering alerts within Microsoft Teams channels. What should you include in the strategy? Here in this question, based on the given requirements, we should include playbooks in the strategy. Thus, the correct option is B. Playbooks in Microsoft Sentinel are based on workflows built in Azure Logic Apps, a cloud service that helps you schedule, automate, and orchestrate tasks and workflows across systems throughout the enterprise. Playbook is a collection of these remediation actions that can be run from Microsoft Sentinel as a routine. Playbook can help automate and orchestrate your threat response. It can be run manually or set to run automatically in response to specific alerts or incidents when triggered by an analytics rule or an automation rule, respectively. Question 6. Your company has a third party security information and event management solution that uses Splunk and Microsoft Sentinel. You plan to integrate Microsoft Sentinel with Splunk. You need to recommend a solution to send security events from Microsoft Sentinel to Splunk. What should you include in the recommendation? Here in this question, we need to send security events from Microsoft Sentinel to Splunk. As such, we should include Azure Event Hubs in the recommendation. Thus, the correct option is B. Microsoft defines Azure Event Hubs as a big data streaming platform and event ingestion service. Most services inside of Azure and some services outside of Azure integrate with event hubs. Question 7. Customer follows the zero trust model and explicitly verifies each attempt to access its corporate applications. The customer discovers that several endpoints are infected with malware. The customer suspends access attempts from the infected endpoints. The malware is removed from the endpoints, which two conditions must be met before endpoint users can access the corporate applications again. Here in this question, the two conditions that must be met before endpoint users can access the corporate applications again are that the client access tokens are refreshed and Microsoft Intune reports the endpoints as compliant. Thus, the correct options are A and B. To reinstate access in a zero trust environment after resolving malware infections, compliance must be verified. Microsoft Intune and Microsoft Defender for Endpoint provide the necessary compliance reporting to ensure endpoints meet security requirements before access is restored. Question 8. You have a customer that has a Microsoft 365 subscription and uses the free edition of Azure Active Directory. The customer plans to obtain an Azure subscription and provision several Azure resources. You need to evaluate the customer's security environment. What will necessitate an upgrade from the Azure AD free edition to the premium edition? Here in this question, we need to evaluate the customer's security environment. As such, it is Azure AD privileged identity management that will necessitate an upgrade from the free edition to the premium edition. Thus, the correct option is A. Azure AD Free Edition includes basic features like role-based and resource-based authorization and supports Azure AD multi-factor authentication. However, PIM is a feature of Azure AD Premium P2 which necessitates an upgrade from the free edition. Question 9. You are designing the security standards for a new Azure environment. You need to design a privileged identity strategy based on the zero trust model. Which framework should you follow to create the design? Here in this question, the framework that we should follow to create the design is Rapid Modernization Plan. Thus, the correct option is C. RAMP is explicitly designed to modernize security strategies, particularly in line with the zero trust model, focusing on privileged identities and minimizing attack surfaces. While other frameworks like ESAE and SDL are valuable, RAMP specifically aligns with zero trust principles for privileged identity strategies in new Azure environments. Question 10. Your company plans to apply the Zero Trust Rapid Modernization Plan to its environment. You need to recommend the top three modernization areas to prioritize as part of the plan. Which three areas should you recommend based on RAM? Here in this question, the three areas that we should recommend based on RAM are data, compliance and governance, user access and productivity, modern security operations. Thus, the correct operations are A, C, and E. RAMP focuses on key areas critical to implementing zero trust principles. Data compliance and governance ensure protection and control over sensitive data. User access and productivity enhance identity and access management while ensuring seamless user experience. Modern security operations improve detection, response, and recovery to modern threats. Other areas like infrastructure and OT/IoT are important but secondary in initial zero trust modernization efforts. Question 11. For an Azure deployment, you are designing a security architecture based on the Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark. You need to recommend a best practice for implementing service accounts for Azure API management. What should you include in the recommendation? Here in this question, we need to recommend a best practice for implementing service accounts for Azure API management. As such, we should include managed identities in Azure. Thus, the correct option is B. Managed identities provide a way to automatically manage the credentials used by applications and services. Using managed identities is a best practice for securing access to Azure resources without the need for storing and managing credentials. It aligns with the principle of least privilege and reduces the risk associated with credential exposure. Question 12. You have legacy operational technology. Question 12. You have legacy operational technology devices and IoT devices. You need to recommend best practices for applying zero trust principles to the OT and IoT devices based on the Microsoft Cybersecurity reference architecture. The solution must minimize the risk of disrupting business operations. Which two security methodologies should you include in the recommendation? Here in this question, based on the given requirements, the two security methodologies that we should include in the recommendation are threat monitoring and passive traffic monitoring. Thus, the correct options are B and D. About the options, B. Continuous monitoring and analysis of network traffic, system logs, and other data sources can help detect and respond to threats and attacks targeting OT and IoT devices. Threat monitoring can help identify indicators of compromise and provide early warning of potential security incidents. About D, passive traffic monitoring involves monitoring network traffic without actively sending packets or generating traffic. This approach can help minimize the risk of disrupting business operations while still providing visibility into network activity and potential security incidents. Passive traffic monitoring can also help identify anomalies and suspicious activity that may indicate a security threat. Question 13. You have an on premises network and a Microsoft 365 subscription. You are designing a zero trust security strategy. Which two security controls should you include as part of the zero trust solution? Here in this question, the two security controls that we will include as part of the zero trust solution are block sign in attempts from unknown locations and block sign in attempts from non compliant devices. Thus, the correct options are C and D. About the options, block sign-in attempts from unknown locations align with the zero trust principle of continuous verification by using conditional access policies to deny access from suspicious or untrusted geographies. Block sign-in attempts from non-compliant devices ensures that only secure, trusted devices can access resources reducing the risk of malware or unauthorized access. Question 14. You are designing a ransomware response plan that follows Microsoft security best practices. You need to recommend a solution to minimize the risk of ransomware attack encrypting local user files. What should you include in the recommendation? Here in this question, we want to minimize the risk of a ransomware attack encrypting local user files. As such, we should include protected folders in the recommendation. Thus, the correct option is B. Protected folders is a feature provided by Microsoft Defender Antivirus that helps safeguard specific folders from unauthorized changes. It is designed to protect user files, documents, and data from being encrypted by ransomware. This feature allows you to specify certain folders that are considered sensitive, and any attempt to make changes to files within those folders is closely monitored for suspicious activity. Question 15. You have an Azure Kubernetes service cluster that hosts Linux nodes. You need to recommend a solution to ensure that the deployed worker nodes have the latest kernel updates. The solution must minimize administrative effort. What should you recommend? Here in this question, we need to ensure that deployed worker nodes have the latest kernel updates while minimizing administrative effort. Thus, we should recommend that the updates must first be applied to the image used to provision the nodes. Thus, the correct option is B. In Azure Kubernetes Service, worker nodes are provisioned using a node image to ensure nodes have the latest kernel updates with minimal administrative effort. Update the node image to include the latest update. Use AKS node image upgrade functionality. Apply the updated image to the node. This approach ensures the updates are included in a standardized manner for all nodes while minimizing manual intervention. Question 16. You are designing a security operations strategy based on the Zero Trust framework. You need to minimize the operational load on Tier 1 Microsoft Security Operations Center analysts. What should you do? Here in this question, based on the given requirement, we should enable self-healing in Microsoft 365 Defender. Thus, the correct option is B. Enabling self-healing capabilities in Microsoft 365 Defender can significantly reduce the operational load on Tier 1 SOC analysts. Self-healing features automate the detection and remediation of common security issues and threats, allowing for faster response times and reducing the need for manual intervention. By automating the remediation process, Tier 1 analysts can focus on more complex and critical security incidents, improving efficiency and productivity. Question 17. You are evaluating an Azure environment for compliance. You need to design an Azure policy implementation that can be used to evaluate compliance without changing any resources. Which effect should you use in Azure policy? Here in this question, you need to design an Azure policy implementation that can be used to evaluate compliance without changing any resources. As such, we should use the disabled effect in Azure policy. Thus, the correct option is D. This effect is useful for testing situations or for when the policy definition has parameterized the effect. This flexibility makes it possible to disable a single assignment instead of disabling all of that policy's assignment. An alternative to the disabled effect is enforcement mode, which is set on the policy assignment. When enforcement mode is disabled, resources are still evaluated. Question 18. Your company is preparing for cloud adoption. You are designing security for Azure landing zones. Which two preventative controls can you implement to increase the secure score? The two preventative controls that we can implement to increase the secure score are Azure Web Application Firewall and Azure Firewall. Thus, the correct options are A and D. About the options, Azure WAF helps protect your web application from common exploits and vulnerabilities by providing centralized protection, monitoring, and logging for your web traffic. It can prevent attacks such as SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and other malicious activities targeted at web applications. Azure Firewall. It is a managed cloud-based network security service that provides network traffic filtering and protection for Azure resources. It acts as a preventative control by allowing you to define and enforce network and application level policies to secure your Azure landing zones. Azure Firewall provides inbound and outbound traffic filtering, application level inspection, and threat intelligence integration to protect against unauthorized access and threats. Question 19. You have an Azure subscription that has Microsoft Defender for cloud enabled. You need to enforce ISO 27001 column 2013 standards for the subscription. The solution must ensure that non-compliant resources are remediated automatically. What should you use? Here in this question, we need to enforce ISO 27001 column 2013 standards for the subscription while ensuring that non-compliant resources are automatically remediated. As such, we should use Azure policy. Thus, the correct option is A. Azure policy allows you to define, assign, and manage policies that enforce rules and effects over your resources, ensuring compliance with ISO 27001 column 2013 standards. You can use policy initiatives tailored for ISO 27001 in Azure. By enabling automatic remediation, Azure policy can correct non-compliant resources to meet the specified standard. Question 20. Your company finalizes the adoption of Azure and is implementing Microsoft Defender for Cloud. You receive the following recommendations in Defender for Cloud. Access to storage accounts with firewall and virtual network configurations should be restricted. Storage accounts should restrict network access using virtual network rules. Storage account should use a private link connection. Storage account public access should be disallowed. You need to recommend a service to mitigate identified risks that relate to the recommendations. What should you recommend? Here in this question, we need to recommend a service to mitigate identified risks that relate to the recommendations. As such, we should recommend zero policy. Thus, the correct option is A. An Azure policy definition created in Azure policy is a rule about specific security conditions that you want controlled. Built-in definitions include things like controlling what type of resources can be deployed, or enforcing the use of tags on all resources. You can also create your own custom policy definitions. Question 21. You have a customer that has a Microsoft 365 subscription and an Azure subscription. The customer has devices that run either Windows, iOS, Android, or macOS. The Windows devices are deployed on premises and in Azure. You need to design a security solution to assess whether all the devices meet the customer's compliance rules. What should you include in the solution? Here in this question, we need to design a security solution to assess whether all the devices meet the customer's compliance rules. As such, we should include Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Thus, the correct option is B. Microsoft Endpoint Manager is designed to manage and secure devices across platforms. It includes compliance policies and device management capabilities to assess whether devices meet your customer's compliance rules. It works seamlessly with both on-premises and cloud environments, making it the ideal solution for the scenario. Question 22. Your company has devices that run either Windows 10, Windows 11, or Windows Server. You are in the process of improving the security posture of the devices. You plan to use security baselines from the Microsoft Security Compliance Toolkit. What should you recommend using to compare the baselines to the current device configurations? Here in this question, we should recommend Policy Analyzer to compare the baselines to the current device configurations. Thus, the correct option is D. Policy Analyzer is a tool in the Microsoft Security Compliance Toolkit that allows you compare the settings in security baselines to the current device configurations. It helps identify differences and assess compliance, making it ideal for evaluating how well your devices align with recommended security baselines. While Microsoft Intune and LGPO can be used for managing policies and configurations, and Windows Autopilot focuses on device provisioning, none of these directly offer the comparison capabilities that Policy Analyzer provides for security baselines and current configurations. Question 23. You have an Azure subscription that is used as an Azure landing zone for an application. You need to evaluate the security posture of all the workloads in the landing zone. What should you do first? Here in this question, we need to evaluate the security posture of all the workloads in the landing zone. As such, we should first enable the Defender plan for all resource types in Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Thus, the correct option is D. The security of your cloud and on-premises resources depend on proper configuration and deployment. Defender for Cloud recommendations identify the steps that you can take to secure your environment. Question 24. You have an Azure subscription. Your company has a governance requirement that resources must be created in the West Europe or North Europe Azure regions. What should you recommend using to enforce the governance requirement? Here in this question, in order to enforce the governance requirement, we should recommend Azure policy assignments. Thus, the correct option is C. Azure Policy helps to enforce organizational standards and to assess compliance at scale. Through its compliance dashboard, It provides an aggregated view to evaluate the overall state of the environment with the ability to drill down to the per resource per policy granularity. It also helps to bring your resources to compliance through bulk remediation for existing resources and automatic remediation for new resources. Question 25. Your company has an Azure subscription that has enhanced security enabled for Microsoft Defender for Cloud. The company signs a contract with the US government. You need to review the current subscription for NIST 800-53 compliance. What should you do first? Here in this question, based on the given requirements, we should first, from Defender for Cloud, add a regulatory compliance standard. Thus, the correct option is A. To review the subscription for NIST 800-53 compliance, you should start by adding the NIST 800-53 regulatory compliance standard within Defender for Cloud. This will ensure that appropriate compliance checks and assessments are performed against the NIST 800-53 controls for your Azure resources. Question 26. You have a customer that has a Microsoft 365 subscription and an Azure subscription. The customer has devices that run either Windows, iOS, Android, or macOS. The Windows devices are deployed on premises and in Azure. You need to design a security solution to assess whether all the devices meet the customer's compliance rules. What should you include in the solution? Here in this question, we need to design a security solution to assess whether all the devices meet the customer's compliance rules. As such, we should include Microsoft Intune in the solution. Thus, the correct option is C. Microsoft Intune, Microsoft Sentinel, and Microsoft Purview information protection are not directly related to assessing device compliance. Microsoft Defender for Endpoint focuses on threat protection rather than compliance evaluation. Question 27. You have a Microsoft 365 E5 subscription. You need to recommend a solution to add a watermark to email attachments that contain sensitive data. What should you include in the recommendation? Here in this question, we need to recommend a solution to add a watermark to email attachments that contain sensitive data. As such, we should include Microsoft Information Protection in the recommendations. Thus, the correct option is B. MIP is a comprehensive solution that allows you to classify, label, and protect sensitive information in emails and documents. It includes the ability to apply watermarks to documents and emails based on sensitivity labels. By configuring sensitivity labels and associated policies, you can automatically add watermarks to email attachments containing sensitive data, helping to protect the information and ensure it is appropriately labeled. Version 28. Your company plans to deploy several Azure App Service web apps. The web apps will be deployed through the West Europe Azure region. The web apps will be accessed only by customers in Europe and the United States. You need to recommend a solution to prevent malicious bots from scanning the web apps for vulnerabilities. The solution must minimize the attack surface. What should you include in the recommendation? Here in this question, we need to recommend a solution to prevent malicious bots from scanning the web apps for vulnerabilities while minimizing the attack surface. As such, we should include Azure Application Gateway Web Application Firewall in the recommendation. Thus, the correct option is C. Azure Application Gateway with the Web Application Firewall is specifically designed for web applications security. It provides protection against common web vulnerabilities such as SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and more. It also includes bot protection capabilities, which can help prevent malicious bots from scanning web apps for vulnerabilities. This aligns with the requirement to prevent bot scanning while minimizing the attack surface. Question 29. You are planning the security requirements for Azure Cosmos DB Core API accounts. You need to recommend a solution to audit all users that access the data in the Azure Cosmos DB account. Which two configurations should you include in the recommendation? Here in this question, based on the given requirements, the two configurations that we should include in the recommendation are send the Azure AD sign-in logs to a log analytics workspace and send the Azure Cosmos DB logs to a log analytics workspace. Thus, the correct options are A and C. Diagnostic settings in Azure are used to collect resource logs. Resources emit Azure Resources logs and provide rich, frequent data about the operation of that resource. These logs are captured per request and they are also referred to as data plane logs. Some examples of the data plane operations include delete, insert, and read field. The content of these logs varies by resource type. Question 30. You have an Azure subscription that contains several storage accounts. The storage accounts are accessed by legacy applications that are authenticated by using access keys. You need to recommend a solution to prevent new applications from obtaining the access key of the storage accounts. The solution must minimize the impact on the legacy applications. What should you include in the recommendation? Here in this question, we need to recommend a solution to prevent new applications from obtaining the access keys of the storage accounts while minimizing the impact on the legacy application. As such, we should include apply read-only locks on the storage accounts in the recommendation. Thus, the correct option is B. A read-only lock on a storage account prevents users from listing the account keys. A POST request handles the Azure storage list keys operation to protect access to the account keys. Account keys provide complete access to data in the storage account. These were all the questions for this video. You can find the complete PDF of this video and our practice questions through the link down in the description. We will be publishing more parts to this series in the future, so please make sure to subscribe our channel and press the bell icon. Thank you for watching and stay tuned.